Hey guys, welcome back to the Dark Souls of podcast. This is our second time recording this, so second time's the charm. But we have a list of topics we want to talk about today, so let's get right into it again. um,
Yeah, this is our second time recording this. We had some tech issues we had to deal with.
yeah. So first off, we plan on talking about some games. Before we get into the news, we're going to talk about some games that we enjoy but find disappointing elements in. So do you want to go first, or should I go first?
I believe you were discussing the Phantom Pain before we stopped.
Yeah. Originally, I was going from the small ones to big ones, but for this one, I'll start with the big one because I have more to say. I think the Phantom Pain is a good game. I really do enjoy it and stuff, and I think there's a lot to love about it, both from a production value and just from a game value. But I can't help but despite all the good of it, I can't help but consider it one of the most disappointing games for me personally in recent years. I know there's games like No Man's Sky and whatnot, but I wasn't really looking forward to those games, so I can't really say I was disappointed by it when they ended up being bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, the reason why I find it disappointed is a number of levels. One thing that I find really disappointing about it was the story, which really kind of feels unfinished and just kind of lacking, which probably because
it is unfinished.
Yeah, but even then, to get back to what I was saying earlier when we were having tech problems, there's some elements in the game that, even if it was finished, I can't help but wonder if I would still have problems with some. Like Skullface, who is probably one of the most forgettable characters I've seen in recent years. Here's a guy who has a cool name, a really cool design, yet if you were to ask me about his motives, I would just probably look at you blankly and say he wants to kill the English language and nothing else like that, and wants to scare the world into another world war or something. Anything beyond that, I can't remember because he was so forgettable for me. And another character.
Yeah. He wanted to kill the English language because he'd been infected with a throat parasite and he couldn't speak his native tongue, Hungarian.
And he wanted to, okay.
There, that's his motivation.
And I think he wanted to cause the world to enter another world war for some reason.
I guess he got his way anyway, if you think about it.
I guess so. But he wanted to do it by showing off his giant kick-ass, what's it called? Giant kick-ass robot thing. I forget what it's called. I don't think it's a Metal Gear. But, and another character that I was kind of disappointed by was kind of Quiet, who I know a lot of people are probably thinking, what would you expect?
She was named Quiet, and she was quiet as well.
Well, I'd argue, even though the character's really quiet, as she is, yeah, they break the rules later on for reasons I can't remember. Honestly, there's, I have two places of Phantom Pain, and I can tell you a lot about its gameplay, but, if you were to quiz me on its plot, I would do very poorly because I don't remember it very well because it's pretty forgettable to me. Maybe for one or two things. One second, let me take a sip. But, Quiet, I was really interested in because I heard early on she was not going to talk at all in the game, or at least very little, and I was thinking, that's interesting. How are they going to make this an interesting character, despite the fact that she doesn't talk much? And I was saddened to see that that doesn't really happen. It doesn't really have much of a character other than the fact that she likes Big Boss, and that I guess she was originally supposed to kill everyone, but then she fell in love with Big Boss.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe she was a character that was just meant to piss off feminists. Who knows?
Maybe. One thing that weirds me out is
do it. Yeah.
Yeah. But here's one thing I don't get about the
obedient, and strong, and sexy as well.
Yeah. However.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah. It's I don't know. I feel conflicted about Quiet's character because on one hand, you could say that she's a strong, independent character, that she does stuff, she's powerful and whatnot. But is she really a good character? Because when you think about her character, in terms of who she is, what can you tell me about Quiet? I'm asking you, what can you tell me about Quiet as a character, not just as what she does in gameplay?
Well, she loves Big Boss. That's the one thing.
Exactly. So that's why I'm kind of wondering.
And she doesn't like her men to smell. That's another one. The shower scene backs that one up.
She doesn't like what again?
She doesn't like men that smell bad.
Well, anyway, though, that's my point, though. So, are the feminists right in a way that she's kind of a Like, cause like in terms of a character, she's kind of just like non-existent.
I think the whole point is the character has to be subtle. You got to figure out what she's thinking.
Yeah. Well, one thing's for certain is her design is certainly not subtle. And one thing I was wondering about, because at first I heard that Kojima designed quite that way just because he wanted people to cosplay like that, and
Well, he
I can
certainly got
respect
his
that.
way.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, I do like Quiet's design, so not just because of the TNA, but because I don't know, it's kind of interesting. That's like, yeah, don't get me wrong, I do like TNA and like tits and ass and whatnot, but I'm really confused by Kojima because in another interview, Kojima said that when you find out why Quiet dresses the way she does, you'll feel ashamed for ogling her the way you guys do. So is it that he wanted? So I'm a little confused. Did he want a character that was just a sex object, or was he hoping for something deep, or is he going somewhere in between? Because
Probably
those two
both.
interviews, yeah. Because I don't know, because the way he does an interview, it's just kind of sounds like you can't have it both ways, or it's very hard to have it both ways.
He's always been weird like that. I wouldn't dig too deep into it.
Fair enough.
I mean, listen to his talk about whether or not video games are art.
Yeah.
I mean, he contradicts himself a couple of times in that one.
Yeah. That's true. One interesting thing though is I'm definitely like do look forward to playing the other Metal Gear games and stuff because the few cutscenes and like the few things I've seen from the other Metal Gear games do look a lot more interesting, at least story wise.
Yeah.
So I do look forward for that. But like I was hoping the Phantom Pain would get me super into it and be like, oh yeah, I have to look into the stories now. But like, didn't really do that.
Yeah, but it is the
I do
last
wonder-
Metal Gear game, so we should still appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, and Metal Gear Survive is not a Metal Gear game. Do not even start.
I mean, according to Konami, would say otherwise.
Yeah, well, Konami can go suck my dick. There, I said. No, that is not a Metal Gear game. That is a zombie with no soul pretending to be Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah. Then we will let the Phantom Pain, at least it like had some soul in it. Even though like that was kind of like weirdly broken down behind content and other weird stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, speaking of Metal Gear and Metal Gear Survive, out of curiosity, do you have any opinions overall on Hideo Kojima? Do you think he's a hack? Do you think he's a genius? Do you think he's neither? Because I ask, because like I've come across a bunch of people who think both and like everything between, so I'm curious.
Well, it's hard to say with him.
Yeah. One thing for certain though is that whatever he does will probably be better than Metal Gear Survive.
Oh, I hope so.
Anyway, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, speaking of Metal Gear Survive, would you ever play it?
I guess if I were to give it a review, I would.
Someone were to give it for me for free, I'd probably. Well, even if someone gave it to me for free, there's a lot of microtransactions in it, so.
I'd probably do it just for review purposes. That's it.
I really do wonder though, like what was their thought process behind Metal Gear Survive? Because it's like, okay, everyone already hates us. How can we make them hate us more? I know, let's add in order to get more save slots, we need to have microtransactions, a whole bunch of other bullshit. It's like, do they hate money now? I mean, I know Konami's more interested in the microtransaction market and whatnot, but it's like,
yeah, I guess I guess Yu-Gi-Oh is just more interesting to them now.
Well, not just that. It seems like just. It's like I can't. For a while, I thought they just didn't want to make games anymore, which is fine. But then they made Metal Gear Survive, so I'm like, what message are you trying to send? Are you trying to say you're making some games now, or?
Maybe it's just Yu-Gi-Oh they're making. I don't know.
Maybe. Anyway, how about you go
there are
next?
Tons of microtransactions in any of those games.
Anyway, do you have any games that you were really disappointed in, or like had elements that were disappointed in?
I guess Dark Void. That's the game I'm trying to play and review right now.
Okay. Well, what was disappointing about it per se?
Well, it wasn't finished. That was one thing.
And it wasn't finished in what way? Do you want to wait for the review?
Yeah, I probably shouldn't tell you too much about that one, because I'm going to reveal a lot of that in the review I'm doing on it.
I look forward to it. Is there anything you can go into more detail over?
More detail into that one. Alright, let's skip to a different one then, since I've been revealing too much. Let's go to The Darkness 2.
Okay.
Have you ever done that one?
I've heard of it, but I haven't actually ever played it. Or what was disappointing about it for you?
That there's only one Darkling in it. That would be the first thing.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, the fact the Mafia, unlike the first game, the Mafia in this game is really underutilized.
I heard in the first game that you could, if you wanted to, you could actually sit through the entirety of To Kill a Mockingbird with your girlfriend.
Yeah,
Is that
that's
true? I think that's pretty... I don't know what to think about that. I don't know if that's really awesome or really stupid. Probably a bit of both.
A bit of both. I mean, if you're a smart video editor, you could technically record the entire thing and just get To Kill a Mockingbird for free.
In a way, I kind of respect that, because I like games that allow you to do stuff like that for that you reasonably wouldn't do, but they just give you the option anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, what other games am I disappointed in? One other game that I was a little disappointed in, like, I love Grand Theft Auto 5. I think it's a great game, and it's, like, was really great, but, like, there's one element that I was really disappointed on, and that was some of the mini games that were removed, like pool and, what else was I disappointed in removal? And bowling. I was sad they weren't in Grand Theft Auto 5. Particularly pool, because, like, I would spend hours and hours, or at least a couple hours every once in a while playing Grand Theft Auto 4 in it. I would, like, just love it. And, like, even now, even some of the Grand Theft Auto 5 minigames I could spend hours playing, and, like, I'd love it. But, like, it's disappointing to me to include some of the other ones, like bowling or pool.
Yeah.
Also disappointed in, what was it called? The submarine part, where it was just kind of, like, it's kind of cool at first, but after a while it kind of gets old.
Mm-hmm.
And,
I guess anything that disappoints you about Cuphead? It's the point that they actually, they actually mock you for losing.
Nothing really. No, I'm not really disappointed by that. I don't think I'm really disappointed in anything for Cuphead. I think I got just about what I expected and wanted. I guess if there's one thing that sometimes irks me about it, is I wish there was, like, a better way to tell what you're gonna buy later on. Like, once you buy something, a new item pops up, and you never know what it could be, at least for the first time you play.
Mm-hmm.
What else? Wow, I'm doing really good right now. Anyway,
Yeah, you are. I say keep
it up, really. Wait, are you watching me, or?
No, it meant you were doing damn good with the podcast. I don't know what you're doing.
Oh, okay. Oh,
no, this is not like when you were watching me with Dark Souls. I have no idea what you're doing.
Anyway, what else do we want to talk about? So do you want to... I think that's all I had to say in terms of games that disappointed me. Probably one other one that I forgot, but, like, I didn't feel that passionately about it. So, do you want to talk about what's been in the news recently?
Yeah. It's just I haven't been keeping too much track of the news at the moment.
That's good, because I'll be able to hear firsthand.
I've been massively busy trying new things to edit all of a sudden.
I understand. Well, that'll be good, because that way I can hear your firsthand reaction. Did you know that EA has screwed up once again?
Okay, when I ask you for news, I mean news that I don't already know or can predict.
Okay, well, I guess we already talked about this briefly, but, like, recently, as you guys know, Final Fantasy 15 is coming to PC or whatnot, and the game has already been hacked, because apparently EA forgot to code it.
Already been hacked. Isn't that nice?
It's all because apparently EA just flat out forgot to code it for some reason. Kind of have to wonder, how do you just forget something like that?
You'd
Like,
be
how did you
amazed.
kind of remind me of the movie The Snowman, which I haven't seen, but apparently they've just flat out forgot to film like 15% of the movie, and they only found out while they were editing that, oh shit, we forgot to film like 15% of it. I really have to wonder how you forget certain things like that. Like, you just like procrastinate or something. So there's that. Also, you want me to recently the game, or a fan-made game called Hunt Down the Freeman came out to not the best of reviews. Apparently, and, do you want me to tell you about that, Dolphin, or, like, do you want to talk about something else?
Yeah, you tell me all about it.
Okay, so, it's kind of
tell
weird,
the audience
so...
all about it as well.
Yeah. Yeah, okay, so this would be perfect, so I'll tell you about it in the audience. So apparently, the game released, and apparently, on top of some scenes technically not being in the release version, when they first released it, some cutscenes weren't really in a finished state. Like, they screwed up the folders or something. Instead of putting in the finished folders, the finished cutscenes, they put in, like, the unfinished version, which is weird, but they quickly patched that. But, excuse me, sorry. From what I can tell, the voice acting seems to be not very good in the game. Like the game. Here's something really controversial about the game. Apparently, the game has been caught stealing multiple assets from multiple different types of games. Like, it's been caught. Sorry, let me start over. The game has been, like, the game creators, or at least the director, has been caught outright stealing assets from other games, like Left 4 Dead, like Black Mesa, the fan-made Half-Life 1 remake, as well as a whole bunch of other stuff. And, apparently everyone on the team, since the game, literally everyone on the team except the director, has been just talking about how much the development was kind of a shit show. Like, apparently, like, some developers reportedly never got a final build of the game to work on. Some, like apparently, an animator was given... One animator's computer was almost completely fried because he was supposed to get a low polygon version of a character model, but ended up getting a super high version of it. And also apparently Keemstar plays the president in the game, so a whole bunch of sins being committed there. So based on like what I just told you, like, what do you think of like what do you have to say about it? Isn't that crazy what's been like going on in the development?
Oh yeah. I mean, I know crazy weird thing can happen when you're developing something like that, but that much.
But it's like really weird because like literally because it's really weird because literally everyone in the development team has been coming out and saying, yeah, the whole development was just a shit show and like we fucked up bad. And like to the point where like one like I hate everything was actually in the game. And he said apparently he was originally playing an American Asian character for some reason, even though he's British, and originally he was instructed to do an American accent. But like halfway through his recordings, he was told to stop doing the American accent and redo it with some other stuff. And he was like, okay, fine. But apparently in the final game, some of the American lines that he was told was scrapped or wasn't used, were for some reason in the game. So in the game, you have a character that both is using an American accent and a British accent. Even though, like, he did that because he was told that we're not doing that anymore.
So basically, the developers had no idea what they were doing.
From the sounds of it, yeah. And it's like pretty much one concurrent theme I'm getting from everyone that involved in the project was that the director of the project, or the main creator, wasn't a very good communicator. Like, apparently he didn't really know what he was doing. He would suggest things and like suggest a bunch of crazy stuff and like was just all around unhelpful. Like most of them, like most people involved in the project are kind of saying like it's kind of his fault ultimately. Like he put in most of the blame on him. But to be fair, based on what I've heard from everyone, it does sound pretty what's it called? What's the word? Recurrent?
Pretty bad.
Yeah. Like, apparently, like, all I can say is, like, I wonder how, like, it got to such a messy point, you know? Like, I wonder how... like, most of the, like, a lot of the team members are putting the blame on the director for giving them poor direction and whatnot, but even then, it's, like, some things I'm just, like, trying to think, how could they end... It's just... I can't help but feel a little bit bad for the team, because...
Yeah.
And in a bunch of YouTube videos, like certain team members that have spoken out, and because you can find YouTube videos of like people who worked on the game talking about it, but from people like who did a lot of game design to some people who just provided a 2 or 3 sound clips or whatnot. And the whole concurrent vibe I can get is that all of them like really were passionate about this and really wanted to be good, but it was just ultimately didn't know what they were doing and stuff. So on that level, I can't help but feel a little bit bad for them.
Yeah. Sounds like game development, really. When one thing goes wrong, just about everything goes wrong.
What I have to wonder is, for an example, I'll bring up I Hate Everything again. I wonder why they told I Hate Everything to like stop doing an American accent and just do his regular British accent, but then later used his American lines anyway. Like, how do you make a mistake like that? Like, I'm not trying to be mean or anything. I'm just wondering how does it even occur? You know?
I don't know, really.
That's the thing.
It's why I try to keep the development of my own videos as simple as possible, so that sort of stuff doesn't happen.
Yeah, same. I think that's also part of its problem, from what I heard. It sounds like they were like really ambitious and whatnot, and it just sort of ended up being kind of not so good. I would, at the very least, recommend looking up some of the cutscenes and stuff, because they kind of, well, they aren't, I wouldn't say they're good cutscenes, but I would say they're certainly entertaining cutscenes, if that makes any sense. Like,
well, as long as they're
like
entertaining, I guess.
The main good guy, the guy who's playing the game, is like has a lot of super edgy moments where he's like, "You fucked up my face," and like he was trying to sound so serious and edgy, but like he's just the voice actor they chose for him didn't do a good job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, in just a moment. I think to close my door is a loud noise.
Okay, we'll resume in a second.
Damn, next door is playing their TV too loud. Okay, go on.
So, do you want to move on to another topic that I actually thought of a little while ago, but forgot to inform?
Yeah. Let's speed this up. This podcast is going a bit too slow.
Yeah. So, I've been seeing a lot about VR recently and stuff, and I was wondering, do you think that VR is going to become like going to fizzle out, that it's just a fad or something, or do you think it's going to grow to be like another part of gaming or whatnot?
Well, it's going to depend heavily on how affordable the technology is and how good it gets.
Because right now it's decently expensive, and I haven't had a chance to try it out yet. My sister's boyfriend, I think, has a VR headset, which I'll try the next chance I'm over at their house. But like well, like, other than that though, it's like seems like a lot of VR games are either ports of regular games and whatnot, like Doom, Fallout 4, etc., or they're just sort of like what I've heard sound like glorified tech demos. So like they're definitely gonna need to, I think, evolve in a way. Like, as far as I know, like, I mean, there's a couple games that are sort of like I hear are must have in VR, like Super Hot, for an example, and Resident Evil 7. But like feel like VR is gonna have to need a game that's really unique or whatnot to really get people on and really be like, this is VR, like this is worth it and whatnot now, you know what I mean?
Yeah. The games will need to get better, they'll need to be supported, and at the very least they'll need to be decently cheap enough for people to afford it easily.
Yeah. So it will be interesting to see where it goes in the future, but like right now, how do you think it is and stuff? Like, as it is right now, what are your thoughts on it?
I'd stay away from it because I personally just don't need it. I don't feel the need to have it in order to be a complete gamer.
Yeah, me neither.
That's I think is one of the big things that's missing. There's no real need to have it.
yeah,
It's just kind of, yo, here it is. You can have it. You know,
yeah,
if you really want to, just pay us a bunch of money and stuff. Yeah, there's not a big push for it. There's no need for it.
yeah. And like I said, my sister's boyfriend has it, and I'm planning on trying it out there. So maybe I'll be like, oh my god, VR is amazing.
I mean,
Like,
they really need that whole kind of Nintendo marketing. I mean, the way they marketed the Wii motion controls, that was
yeah,
spot on. It worked. There's no
yeah,
hype for VR like that.
yeah. Like, and that, and also I think when Nintendo was first marketing motion controls, they had a bunch of games that like people were that once you played, people had interest beyond the first couple of minutes and stuff. Like I hear a lot of VR games you play for a couple of minutes and they're like, "Oh, that's cute," and you never really want to play it again. And it's like a lot like people were playing Wii Sports for like quite a while, like long after it first came out or whatnot. So it's gonna need like that game that I think it really needs that game that not only takes advantage of what it offers, like Nintendo did with the original Wii. Like they also they also need something that is gonna have some staying power and whatnot.
Okay.
And as far as and then there might be someone that I'm not aware of, but like as far as I know, there isn't one yet. But like I really do hope it does evolve and does become something good because like I don't know, I want gaming to evolve and like if this does sound like it could be a cool thing, but like right now, like you said, it kind of feels unneeded. Uh, there are some a minute.
Sorry, what's going on?
Sorry, I was taking a sip of my drink. There are some games that have been pushing it like well not some games but like I think there are some there's Resident Evil 7 that was in VR and stuff, which is one of the few full games and stuff that are in VR, and like I know a bunch of other games are getting ported to VR, but like that can't really be enough because it's like while it's cool, like yeah, they're in VR, it's like it's not really. It's like they're games you played already and stuff. Like why, like say you're not interested in VR, where is your motivation to get like Fallout 4 again in VR? You know.
What's the motivation to get Fallout 4 in the first place? Oh no.
Fair
It
enough.
wasn't exactly the best game.
It's okay. It wasn't really good and stuff, but I don't know. It's pretty bad, I guess. Like I played Fallout 4, and it's not a very good game, but like there's parts of it I kind of like. That I really like. I kind of like the settlement system, even though there's room for improvement certainly. But overall, I'd recommend Fallout New Vegas over it.
I guess it would be a good game if you could just totally avoid the Minutemen. Yeah, we're the good guys you want to side with. We're totally useless. We can never defend anything. We need you to do all our work for us, but please side with us. Why?
I'm probably being way too nice to Fallout. Like, it's funny. I'm probably being way too nice, and Fallout 4 deserves it. And even then, I was just kind of like, it's okay. But it's like, like even though like I said earlier, like have room for improvement. I really do think like the settlement system is something I kind of like. It just sucks that a lot of other elements of the game are just kind of mediocre.
Yeah, and there's not much exactly choice in the game. They kind of missed that with the RPG thing.
Yeah. I do one thing I do want to do is I want to play it again, but like play it in like the hardcore survival mode they offer to see if it's any more enjoyable. But other than that, I wouldn't strongly recommend it.
Yeah.
It's funny with Fallout 4. One thing I've noticed while I was playing it was that in all the small ways, in a lot of small ways, did a lot of small things really better. Like in terms of the shooting and much of all small things. What they fucked up was all the really major stuff like RPG elements, choice, like
Yeah,
whole
how do
all
you
of other
screw
things.
that up in an RPG? Seriously.
Yeah, I find it funny because Fallout 4, in most games, it's normally the other way around. Like, there are small problems, but all the major stuff they got right. With Fallout 4, they got a bunch of small things right, but they got all the major stuff wrong.
Yep. Well, actually, before we say that, there's a few things we need to establish. Either I need more information, Could you tell me more? Okay, I'll do it. Oh, okay, fine. I'll ask you again. That's pretty much every decision tree ever in Fallout 4.
Every once in a blue moon, you get something slightly more diverse, like I feel this, or I don't like that, or something like that. But mostly, yeah.
How do you screw that up in an RPG of all things?
I think what they were trying to do is maybe go for a Mass Effect sort of thing. I don't think they really realized that didn't really work out.
Well, if you play it as an open world shooter, fine. It is a little bit better, but it's not an open world shooter. It's supposed to be an RPG.
Yeah, in a way, I don't want to defend Fallout for that much and stuff, but like there were one or two things that I think it did right. But if you want a real Fallout game, play Fallout New Vegas, because that is the best Fallout game in my opinion ever, except for Fallout 1 or 2. I haven't played Fallout 1 or 2 yet, but I really want to. In terms of like 3D Fallouts, or like Fallout 3 in first person or third person, I would recommend Fallout New Vegas. It is the best one. Gives you tons of like Fallout New Vegas.
I gotta finish that one, haven't I?
Yeah. Fallout New Vegas. Like despite a few problems here and there, it gives you like a ton more choice and stuff, and like. Like I mentioned to you before, like no one in the game is really a bad guy. They just have sort of like different ideas of how to do it, except for one faction, which is Caesar's Legion. They're pretty objectively evil. But like all the other factions in the game are like okay, now I'm thinking of a couple other factions that are kind of legitimately like most factions, save for like a couple handful at most, are like pretty sympathetic, or like you could see where they're coming from on some level.
So they want to kill you, but at least you can understand why. That's the thing we're going for then.
Well, not even so much that. It's a little bit like that. There is one or two factions that are kind of like black and white. Like there's the fiends, who are just a bunch of druggies who want to kill you to get money. Like that's only one faction out of like dozens.
Yeah, kind of hard to be sympathetic with those people. In other words.
Yeah, well, like, I'm not kind of supposed to. So... Is there anything else that's been on your mind recently?
No, not too much. I've been keeping my mind off stuff and more focused on work, and that's probably bad for this podcast. I need to stop doing that.
I understand. So let me think. What do you think, Oh yeah, I know something. I could talk about this is sort of last minute thing, and this is sort of might be less interesting, but I'm going to tell you about an interesting game. Since we're talking about Bethesda, do you want me to tell you about an interesting game that was canceled by Bethesda?
Oh yeah.
Have you ever heard of Prey 2 at all?
No, I've heard of the current one.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the current Prey, which is a pretty good game in my opinion, is a long story short, it has no connections to the original Prey at all. Originally, Prey was the very first Prey, which was released in 2006. You played a Native American who had like it was a first-person shooter, and you played a Native American who had like ghost powers, like connection to his ancestors or whatnot.
Oh, okay.
And you had a bunch of crazy alien weaponry or whatnot. And the whole point of the game was that you were abducted by aliens and got to save your loved ones from like being, I don't know, hurt by being eaten by them or something, as well as the rest of the planet. And the game ended with a cliffhanger, not with a well, sort of a cliffhanger. Like the game ended with like sort of your loved ones dying, but like you destroying the aliens and stopping them from destroying the Earth. The game ended with sort of a cliffhanger with like an alien coming towards the character and saying like there's some beings who want to talk to you, step right through this portal and stuff, and then ends with Prey will continue, which obviously since I'm talking about Prey 2 being cancelled, it never did, but like from then on,
so we're gonna hook to a sequel that never happens.
Yeah, that's never happened before, right? Except in Ghostbuster, Avatar.
Ghostbuster answered the call.
Avatar: Last Airbender film, which is the worst film I've ever seen.
The Last Airbender film.
There's one other thing I want to talk about involving that later. I'll save that for later. Anyway, immediately after that, Prey 2 entered development, and it was going to be very different from the first Prey, in a sense that instead of going through a strict level structure, it was going to be more of an open world game. Like, in Prey 2, you're going to play as a character named... Okay, I actually don't remember the character's name, but, like, you're going to play as a character who is an air marshal, who was actually on a plane that crashed into the space station that you were in the first game. And in the game, after fighting off some aliens, you would wake up on a planet called Exodus, being the only human there. And then the game would fast forward 10 years later, where you're playing as a bounty hunter that's just trying to get by. In the game, it was going to be somewhat open world with like 3 sections. One section was going to be in a perpetual state of sunlight, another in a perpetual state of like nighttime, and the third somewhere in between. And in the game, apparently there was going to be like you would hunt down a bunch of bounties that were, a lot of them were procedurally generated, but like I think they're going to be done in an interesting way, not the No Man's Sky way.
I hope not.
What?
Well, I would hope it has nothing to do with No Man's Sky.
Yeah, but like the interesting thing is, like there's a bunch of different ways you could go about getting your targets. Like one thing you do, you could kidnap one person that you really liked, like a loved one of your target, to lure him out. You could go in guns blazing. You could be more sneaky, and you often have the option of killing them or saving them. You even had an option of like every once in a while the person you were trying to capture would give you a different offer to pay you more money to go after the person that gave you the job in the first place. Then you would do that. And apparently, like, it was going to be, like, really cool and whatnot. And there's going to be a bunch of cool weapons that you could upgrade to. Like, one weapon you could get was apparently, like, some sort of rocket launcher that locked onto other enemies while you were focusing on others. And, like, there was things leaked via Steam, like an electric whip or something. So some really crazy stuff. And before I go any further as to why it got canceled, I have to tell you the plot twist, because the plot twist, I'm not joking, for the game, for what would have been, is pretty amazing. So, in the game, you end up eventually meeting up with the main character from the first game, whose name I'm just realizing I forgot to say, and his name is Tommy. So you end up meeting him, and he's the main character in the first game, and the two of you team up to take down, like, the big bad guys who are, like, trying to go back to Earth and cause some havoc or whatnot. And at one point you learn that every time you die, you actually really did die, and that the person you keep playing as is actually a clone of your character, who I now finally remembered is named Killian. And apparently this would become really realized to you. No, that's bad wording. But apparently, at one point in the game, near the final boss area, you would come across an area that had literally piles upon, like, hundreds upon hundreds of Killian corpses, pretty much signaling that this isn't the first time you've been here, and this isn't the first time you faced a big bad guy. And apparently, there's going to be another twist where, like, that the original Killian, like, not the clones of him, but the original one, was going to be working with the bad guys.
That's intense.
Yeah. So, like, you were a clone of the original who was working with the bad guy. And the game would pretty much end with Killian, or at least the clone of Killian, ending up back on Earth. He would end up having a happy life. He would stop the bounty hunting business. He would get married, have kids, and then at the end of all this, he would be on his deathbed and, like, was surrounded by his loved ones. And right after that, right when it goes to flatline, you wake up once again in, like, on Exodus, which is the alien planet you were on at the beginning of the game. So you get what that means, right? That, like, pretty much that the cycle is continuing.
Yep.
The reason apparently this game wasn't made was apparently like there's a bit of he said, she said to it. It's like Bethesda claims that the studio behind it weren't making the progress they were satisfied with and wasn't up to their quality standards, which Bethesda games and quality standards is kind of laughable. But a lot of employees and whatnot have claimed that Bethesda was trying to buy out the studio, and the studio wanted to remain independent. So what Bethesda did was apparently they did milestone manipulation, where they would start making unreasonable demands and would not pay them when they didn't meet them, out of hope that they would force them to sell it to them. Isn't that crazy?
Kind of like what EA did with the single player Star Wars game, then.
Sort of, yeah. Apparently one thing led to another, and they didn't sell their company to them, but like the game ended up not being made. But Bethesda ended up getting rights to the game. They apparently looked into trying to get the game finished by Obsidian Entertainment, but they didn't have this. One big problem was they didn't have the source code. The original studio did. So it was sort of the game ended up being a state whereas no one could make it because one team legally had the source code and could work on it because it was owned by someone else, while the other people legally had the rights to it but didn't have the source code, so the game was right then and there kind of canceled. And apparently, the Prey that you now know, made by Arcane Studios, apparently Arcane had wanted to make a game like Prey for a while, but like were a little nervous about it. And when Bethesda approached them with the title Prey, they thought it would be perfect to create their new IP with a familiar title for some form of fan recognition or something.
And that's the incredible story of how games and business come together.
Yeah.
For awkward results.
Definitely. One funny thing is, not all of it, but some of this information that I have and stuff was actually gained by one of the former developers on the game on YouTube. And one of the former developers, like I said, is on YouTube, and like he was actually pretty open with me about like what the game would have been and whatnot. So that's really nice of him.
Yeah, it's rare that you get that kind of information.
Yeah. Anyway,
yeah, no, this has been a pretty disorganized podcast so far.
Yeah.
Hopefully, we've all had awkward days and weeks.
Yeah. But I think that's all I had to say for now. Is there anything else you'd like to talk about before we turn off or something?
I'm wondering what else has been going on in the news lately that we could talk about. Anything game worthy? I mean, besides the fact that Anita Sarkeesian suddenly loves video games again, I can't really think of much.
Yeah, that is a thing that happened.
Yeah.
Here's a question I have. What would you do if you ever met Anita Sarkeesian personally?
I really can't say, because I haven't actually met her yet.
Yeah. I'm not entirely sure, but I think what I would try to do is I would actually try to be, like, kind of nice to her and, like, kind of, like, really, I don't know, kind of, like, stroke her ego a bit and whatnot, and then, like, as the conversation progressed, I would try to just, like, subtly say things like question her on certain things or whatnot just to get who she is and whatnot, because I really highly doubt I'll be able to change her mind on anything, but it'd be interesting to, like, really pick her brain on things, you know?
No, if I were to actually have a conversation with her, it would probably go something like the debate between Jordan Peterson and Kathy Newman, probably. I'd probably be a bit more aggressive than he was, but yeah, it would probably go something like that. For anyone who's ever seen that, you really should.
Well, I would stroke her ego a bit, lead her into a sense of safety or whatnot, and then like really try to question her on some of her beliefs. Like, I'm just not saying that's what you should do. I'm just saying that's what I would do, because I don't expect like that. If I'm straightforward with her, she'd probably just walk away or something, or block me on Twitter, even though I don't have Twitter.
I don't see what the reward would be from doing so. I mean, she's a high-profile feminist. She knows that she could easily walk away at any time and do whatever she wants to anyone who dares question her.
Yeah, I know, but like I'll make it so I don't seem like I'm questioning her. That's the key. Like when you don't seem like you're questioning someone, like it becomes a lot easier to manipulate them and whatnot. And oh my gosh, I'm starting to realize I sound a little bit like a supervillain.
PoppaG the supervillain. Oh well, you go through with it.
This is only phase 1 of my plan. Phase 2 is I'm secretly using this podcast to take over the world.
I mean, well, we have, I think every podcast at best gets 10 views at the moment, so I guess your plan's still in its early stages.
Or it'll be in its early stages. This is only phase 1. Eventually, one day we'll get viral, betray you, and I'll be the sole heir to the podcast, and then everyone will listen to my opinions and will treat me like I'm God.
And then you and your Lieutenant PewDiePie will overthrow the Earth by using impressionable children, then, will you?
No, I'm not going to use PewDiePie. I'm going to use someone else. Like, who would I use?
Well, I'd be fine doing it. I have no problem taking over the Earth.
Yeah, but like I already betrayed you at this point, so like, would you be willing to come back to me?
Well, when you betrayed me, I don't recall doing it.
Okay, so then we'll both take over the world. Anyway, I'm saying
it's a real Pinky and the Brain duo, but which one's which? I don't know.
That's a discussion for another. That's something for the viewers to decide. For you guys,
yeah,
if anyone who's
debate the podcast.
Yeah. Okay, guys. To anyone who's watching this, you guys decide who's the Pinky and who's the Brain. Also, off topic a bit, but I've been wondering this for a while. You remember the controversy a while ago when someone on a college campus put "It's okay to be white"?
Yeah.
I wonder what would happen if I did something similar, but instead of that, I wrote "It's okay to like the Last Jedi." Do you think I'd get
Oh, steady on there, man. Steady on.
Or I could do something else. I could do hashtag Ryan Johnson did nothing wrong. Hashtag he is the god. I really want.
I'm not sure exactly how much more hatred it would get you, but it would definitely get you some.
I definitely think it would get me some hatred, but I am curious to see just what would happen if I tried. Like, I'm a little bit like, the reason why I'm not doing it is because I'm scared for the backlash. But like, I don't seriously think this, but it would be funny if someone just tweeting out hashtag Ryan Johnson did nothing wrong.
Yeah,
he did
hashtag. See what happens.
Hashtag he did everything right.
But it would depend. I mean, if his goal was to just wreck Star Wars as much as possible, yeah, he did everything right.
That is true. So, like, which do you think would be more aggravating to, like, the general public? Me tweeting out hashtag Ryan Johnson did nothing wrong, or it's okay to like The Last Jedi?
Well, they both kind of mean the same thing, don't they? So I'm not really sure.
Yeah. I found it funny because I just thought the controversy is kind of stupid that someone even just went through the effort of putting "it's okay to be white." Like, yes, of course it's okay to be white.
And everyone hated it. That was the point.
I know, but it's like it sort of became an internal meme in my mind. Like, not a meme like where everyone talks about it, but to me it became a meme because I started thinking of like other inoffensive things to say that would cause a controversy. And before it was like J.J. Abrams did nothing wrong, but then The Last Jedi came out and everyone hated Ryan Johnson. And it evolved into me saying hashtag Ryan Johnson did nothing wrong. He did everything right. He did not a single thing wrong. If you think otherwise, you're an intellectual. You're just too stupid to understand the genius of Ryan Johnson.
You cannot understand his genius. Is that it?
Yeah. Anyway, I have one other idea we could talk about, but it might be a bit of a heavy one, so let me know if you don't want to do it.
Do remember what podcast you're on, dude.
Okay.
Heavy's what we do.
Yeah. Last podcast, you briefly said like you think feminism flat out is a bad ideology, and I hinted at saying I think current feminism is kind of bad, but I just think feminism is inherently bad. Do you want to continue that debate, or do you want to just like not even get into
You
that?
really put me on the spot then, that one. Okay,
I
no,
didn't
by all
intend.
means, I'm willing to stick by some awkward things I said. Yeah, let's
No,
go
like
with it.
I don't mean to put you on the spot and stuff. Like if it's on the spot, then like you don't have to. I completely understand like making things in the heat of the moment.
Well, let's go with it, and I can try and state exactly what it is I mean.
Yeah. So yeah, I do think a lot of current feminists are really stupid and not so good. But like, I don't think feminism as an ideology is inherently stupid. Like, we look at feminism, the whole point is just that equality for women, and like, I don't think that's necessarily the bad thing. Just right now, I think like in the West, it's kind of unneeded because I think a lot of women, and for the most part, are equal and whatnot. I think in places like Saudi Arabia or like other places and whatnot, it's kind of needed because like they don't really treat women equally there. But like here in the West, I don't think it's needed and stuff.
Okay, so what's your specific problem that you see with feminism today, then?
I feel like a lot of it is like a lot of people are sort of either making up dragons to slay or are talking about things that are so kind of like innocuous or not that big of a deal that their time would be spent elsewhere. Like, I don't know. I think it would be much better talking about like the like third world countries and how they treat women than like how they treat them in the West. Or like what my other problem is and stuff is that a lot of feminists talk about a lot of bullshit issues. That the few times when there is problems in the West, or there is a time when like a woman is abused or something, like they've naturally conditioned us into not believing them because of all the bullshit and whatnot.
Yeah.
So, what do you think? Do you agree with that, or like?
Agree that there are certainly problems. Well, yeah, I'll agree with that point.
So yeah. Hope I'll try. I also for the next podcast, I promise I'll try to get more topics so we don't have as much dead space like this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I need to do my part and get more topics as well.
So Anyway, that's what I had to say on that topic.
Okay. I mean, hopefully we can discuss that more in the next one. We can go a bit more in depth with what's really going on.
Sounds fair. Anyway, is there anything else you want to talk about, or should we end the podcast right here?
Well, let's talk about one more thing. Let's try to end the podcast on a good note.
Okay.
It's been an off day for us both, so let's end it on a good note. Yeah.
Okay. What? Is gonna go back a bit to Breath of the Wild and stuff. Like
Okay.
That is this is one thing I've been hearing a lot online. I'd like to hear your thoughts about it. I've been hearing a lot of people say that they didn't necessarily intend this, but like, do you think that Nintendo will take like Breath of the Wild and like try to like make it into like an even better version in the future? Because what I understand, they're already developing the next Zelda title and whatnot. So do you think that they're going to end up going down that route, or
that they might try making a sequel? You mean?
Maybe not. I don't know. Maybe either a sequel or a spiritual successor or something. What do you think? And should they or should they not?
I could definitely see them trying to make a sequel, or at least another game set the same world. I mean, they have the massive assets already. They could easily just move them over.
Yeah. Either way, it'll certainly be interesting and stuff because apparently they already started development on it.
And they certainly have a good game engine to work with.
Yeah.
I mean, physics engine, the open world engine. I mean, all the things have been found in the game already. I mean, there's plenty there they could use if they want to make a sequel to the game.
Yeah, they'll certainly, like, if they... Not even necessarily a sequel and stuff, but, like, it would be interesting to see if they take what they have done and, like, sort of build on it in a way and stuff, you know? Because, like, I do really like, we all like Breath of the Wild, but there are certain things I feel like it could have done better and whatnot. So it'll be certainly an interesting thing to see.
Like a better boss, for example, at the end.
Yeah, well, that's the funny thing. I played through most of Breath of the Wild, but the only thing I haven't done is beat the final boss. I still have to do that. That's like the one thing I haven't done.
Okay, I'll try not to spoil it for you then. He's a
Like,
bit of a
I do want.
disappointment, but I won't spoil how.
Fair
You get to
enough.
be surprised at how disappointing he is.
Sorry to hear that. Anyway, once. Anyway, I think that's all I really want to talk about for this podcast. Well, is there anything else you want to say?
Anything else on that?
Oh.
Besides the motorcycle they have, I don't know that much.
Oh yeah.
Breath of the Wild will give you a motorcycle now.
I actually played around a bit with the motorcycle, and despite being kind of stupid and stuff, it does work pretty well. It's pretty fun going around with the motorcycle, although it does kind of not really break suspension of disbelief, but it's just kind of like weird.
Yeah, we have
However,
guardians in the game. I don't think we need to worry about breaking suspension of disbelief.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, the guardians themselves are actually kind of funny if you think about it. They're shaped like pots.
Yeah, it's true.
So the pots are getting revenge. Screw you, Link.
Speaking of which, the motorcycle. Apparently, one early idea involving the motorcycle, like one really early idea for a Breath of the Wild DLC, involves some sort of alien invaders or whatnot, and Link becoming some sort of like Terminator 2 guy, and like there would be laser weapons, a whole lot of stuff. And long story short, as you can obviously tell, they completely scrapped that idea but kept the motorcycle.
Yeah, the whole alien invaders coming down, that probably would break suspension of disbelief a bit too much.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I mean, look, we can have laser machines, we can have laser swords, but aliens are too far.
Yeah. Yeah, like, you can have, like, you can have, like, this giant motorcycle and magic and all this other stuff, but aliens is a bit too much for me. I'm sorry.
I mean, come on, you can beat Ganon in your underwear and driving a motorcycle. Or you can do it cross-dressed if you want. We don't judge, but you're not going to have aliens in the game. That's too much.
Yeah. That's too much for our credibility. Either way, it would have been. Either way, I can't help but wonder how that expansion would have gone, because like obviously they cut it pretty early in design. All they had was some concept art from it, but I would have been. Wonder how they would have done it though. Like, I can't help but be at least sort of like curious about that, right?
Yeah, I guess that was too out there even for Nintendo.
Yeah, but from what I understand, the only thing they kept from that was the motorcycle, which I guess they were really passionate about.
Yeah. I mean, unless they shaped it vaguely like a horse.
Yeah. Yeah, it is very vaguely horse and stuff. I have to admit, though, when I first heard that part of the DLC was a horse, I have to admit I was pretty shocked. I was like, out of everything I would have guessed, that was the last thing in the world. What about you?
That it was a horse. I mean, I was surprised at the motorcycle part, but I'm glad they did it.
No, yeah, that's what I was talking about. I was surprised about the motorcycle.
Half the fun in Breath of the Wild is just effing about doing whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to climb to a mountain and just shield board off the top of it? You go do it.
Yeah, that's one part of Breath of the Wild that was really surprisingly fun for me. It was like just like was the mini game. There's one character you can meet, I can't remember where, somewhere in the mountains, where you can just do the sliding off the top of the mountain over and over again. It's pretty surprisingly fun. Next time though, one thing I do have an idea for a topic of the next time.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to talk about this now or maybe next time, but like I was actually going into Breath of the Wild, I was pretty skeptical about it and stuff due to like Nintendo's lack of experience with open world games, but like it ended up being surprisingly, like, at least in my opinion, like very like understood what an open world was. Game should.
Well,
like, I feel
actually,
like
on that, and I'm gonna seriously sound like a Nintendo history nerd here. If you go back and play the very first Legend of Zelda game, it was similar open world to Breath of the Wild, somewhat similar.
Yeah.
So in a sense, they actually did have some experience on how to make an open world game.
Yeah, I have heard that.
They just didn't have the tech to make it real Breath of the Wild-ish. Now they do.
Yeah, I have heard that, and I also heard, I think, like that when they were like very starting development of Breath of the Wild, they actually test out some of the mechanics by putting it in like a version of like the
2D
original
version
Legend of
of the game,
Zelda.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it is true. They did do like like sort of like 2D instead of open world like games. But, like they hadn't done one on like the scale of Breath of the Wild before, so I was a little skeptical if they could like pull it off in a good way. But they ended up doing that. And like one thing, like I actually really love open world games and they're done well. But I feel like one thing a lot of modern open world games miss is sort of like the point in a way. Like there's a lot of Ubi like to go on to continue to beat on a dead horse. A lot of Ubisoft games are just like a bunch of the same missions, but in a different place and whatnot. Whereas like games like Breath of the Wild or the Grand Theft Auto is like a big part of the fun is traversing this world and doing a bunch of crazy stuff and seeing what you can and can't do.
Well, where I would say Breath of the Wild, I guess we can end on this topic, where I'd say Breath of the Wild really beats the whole Ubisoft problem is it actually feels open world by keeping the mystery. I mean, with Ubisoft games, what do? You go find a big tower, you climb the tower, you find the map, and everything is located. Where all the side quests are, where all this is, where the main mission is, everything is all there.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no mystery, and there's no need to explore because you're taking time away from the main quest, so it's just go here, go there, go here, go there. And it just ends up being a big laundry list of chores.
Yeah.
Rather than a real game. Breath of the Wild doesn't do that. It shows you the map, but it doesn't tell you everything that's on it. You gotta find that yourself.
That and like like there's certain areas like not a lot of areas, but there's certainly some areas that feel like they're designed for more of like either higher level or like better skilled players and stuff. That like that if you go on too early and stuff, you're gonna get screwed over and stuff, and that's the sort of thing I like.
Yeah, like the castle, for example.
Yes, the castle's a big
one. I mean, you can defeat Ganon in your underwear if you want, but you need to be pretty skilled.
Yeah, you either have to be a really skilled speedrunner or just super lucky.
Well, not really luck, just skilled, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I've seen plenty of people do it in an incredible amount of time.
Yeah.
And I guess the other thing that Breath of the Wild really does right, and I think I actually mentioned this in a video I did, is that everything you do feels like progress towards a goal.
Yeah. Yeah,
if you look around, you see all these distractions, and when you complete them, you get more powerful, you get more of the map, and that all leads you to getting closer to defeating Ganon.
Yeah. And that is one problem that plagued even open world games I like, where it's like you go off doing other activities when you have the whole world to save. But like in Breath of the Wild, it's like everything you do is in conjunction towards that goal in some way, shape, or form. I don't want to sound like a Nintendo fanboy. I'm not. I like Breath of the Wild and what it does and stuff.
Okay to do it. I mean, it does kind of defeat the purpose of the story a little bit. It's like, you must hurry, Link, before it's too late. 14 days later. Okay, anytime, Link. I'm holding back Ganon. Could you come, please? 3 more days later. Okay, Link, seriously, get over here now. You're strong enough. Get to the castle.
The way I see it is that she's done it for 100 years. She can wait a couple more weeks or 2 or months.
Yeah, we've got divine beasts to slay. We got shrines to find, and other fun things to do.
Yeah, as well as do some jumping off mountains and what is it called? Skiboarding. Skiboarding. It's called skiboarding. I couldn't remember the name.
I think it's called shield surfing, I think.
Oh, shield surfing. That's right. Anyway, I think that's all we have to say for now. We'll be sure to see you guys next week. Where I continue in my conspiracy to take over the world.
Yeah, PoppaG, the evil platypus, he's here to take over the world. The debate on which one's Pinky and which one's the brain can be had next time, I guess.
Well, like, look at it this way: having a platypus be the #1 and you being Lieutenant, a dolphin, it'll be quite the interesting world leaders, right? Oh, I'm PoppaG.
Yep.
And
I'm DolphinVi. And for the next podcast, we'll be doing the same thing we do every one, Pinky. We'll be trying to take over the world.
I'm Brain, not your Pinky.
Yeah, you say so.
I am in my dreams. See you later.
Okay, till next time.